Hello everyone. We have completed first session based on first chapter, that is evolution of Indian economy. Under that we have completed GDP, GNP, NNP, NDP, GDP at factor cost, GDP at market cost, and how it is different from national income, and which organization is measuring all these parameters. All those topics are covered under evolution of Indian economy under the topic GDP, GNP, NNP and NDP. Then we have also spoke little on what is growth and what is development. Under that we understood growth is a quantitative methodology, whereas development we talk on qualitative development, right? So under that we should be talking about even the growth. Okay, so now today we'll look into the growth part or inclusive growth part indefinitely in perspective of even means. Okay, also in view of inclusive growth, we will understand what is the definition, its concepts, constitutional provisions and schemes, challenges and way forward, all those factors which are needed for our means. I will say you the keywords to be noted and you should be noting those and practicing during your mains examination just before the exam. Okay. So first thing is understand what is inclusive growth. Inclusive growth ensures equitable distribution. It's not equal distribution, but it is a equitable distribution of prosperity across societal segments. If you use this kind of wordings, it will be more good in the exam paper. Okay, so you just have a understanding and then use a similar kind of keywords. Equitable distribution of a prosperity across societal segments. Reducing poverty and inequality. Why we are doing this? To reduce the poverty and inequality. So even World Bank focuses on both peace and pattern of growth. Okay. So India's model, this is important. You can mention what is inclusive growth, that is equitable distribution of prosperity across societal segment. And then you can also write India's model as Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. 4 sabkas. Okay, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas, that is collaborative governance ensuring equal benefits. Okay, so this model is very important, that has to be mentioned in the exam hall. Okay, for your questions on inclusive growth, wherever you see inclusive growth, don't forget to write about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. Okay, if you see the constitutional provisions, we have Article 38 which talks about promoting welfare and reducing inequalities. Article 39 equitable distribution of resources and prevention of wealth concentration. Even in 41 we have right to education and assistance for old age people and disabled people, all those things. Article 46 talks about upliftment of SC, ST and weaker sections. In Article 47 also we have about public health, rise nutrition and living standards. So there is a mention of living standard also, right, in Article 47. So these are some of the constitutional provisions. Next, in third point, if you see India's performance on inclusive growth indicators. So what is this? PLFS report 2023-24, because recently we have seen in the current affairs, right? Periodic Labor Force Survey report 23-24. Who conducts this? We already know GDP, GNP will be measured by National Statistical Office. The same office will measure PLFS or publishes PLFS report. So Periodic Labor Force Survey 23-24 represents certain trends in the employment. If you see there, unemployment rate is 3.2%, which is unchanged from 22-23 to 23-24. This year also it is 3.2% unemployment rate. Whereas labor participation rate has been increased by 60.1%, not just 50%, more than 50%. So this is important. So these are like indicators which will measure the inclusive growth, right? One such is periodic labor force survey. Why it is important? Because once people start earning, they can lead their developed life or a decent life or dignified life, right? So then worker population ratio, that is also 58.2%. Among that, less than 50% are female, less than 50, that is 40.3%. Self-employment has been improved above 50%, that is 58.4%. If you can remember these figures, you can use in n number of ways, okay? So unemployment rate 3.2%, that is unchanged. Labor force participation rate, that has been increased more than 50%, that is 60.1%. Worker participation ratio also increased, that is 58.2%. In that, 40% is female, less than 50% is what I can say. So self-employment has been increased, which is more than 50%, that is 58.4%. Okay. Now if I see financial inclusion, 60.1% according to RBI FI Index 2023. Okay. RBI Index says financial inclusion has increased to 60.1%. And Gini coefficient is 0.41. You can remember this, which will represent the income inequality. Okay, Gini coefficient. So if you see the components of inclusive growth, one is economic inclusion, that is through jobs, fair compensations. So example schemes are Skill India, Mudra scheme. Okay. Social inclusion, equal access to health care. See, we have to talk in all the perspectives, right? So social, if you talk, we have to provide health care, education, access. Through Manrega, we are providing jobs and hence the financial ability to spend on health and education. Then we have financial inclusion. We have expanding banking access, insurances, banking, Jandan Yojana we have. Technological inclusion, we are bridging a gap between the digital era, that is Digital India is a scheme. Yes, then we have gender inclusion, promoting equality for women and minorities. We know, right? So apart from that, you must be mentioning these silent features in inclusive growth. One is equitable opportunities, that is equitable distribution. One more, poverty alleviation or reduction. So you mark it like this: equitable distribution, poverty alleviation, sustainable development, and good governance. So these are salient features of inclusive growth. Okay. So these are key terms to be noted. Then India strategy, if you see what India is following. India is following economic inclusiveness, the needed one. That is, we already said about Mudra for entrepreneurship, for MSMEs, right? And financial inclusion under 50 crore banks has been opened under Dhanjan Yojana. Then social inclusion, Skill India, Manrega. Environmental sustainability. So recently we achieved 200 gigawatt. That was the report. It is old. Okay, you can use 200 gigawatt. We reached through solar energy, wind energy, hydroelectric energy, etc. Economic sustainability, infrastructure project like Bharatmala, Sagarmala. So economic sustainability, we are going for infrastructure projects like, you must mention the two. One is Bharatmala and Sagarmala. You can also mention Gati Shakti. Okay. Now we have even agricultural reforms to stabilize or double the farmer income. That is our motto. So this is India's approach of inclusive growth. Very important. Note those things. Okay. So then we see the challenges. Income inequality, top 1% holds 22.6% of income. So top 1% hold more of a income. This you have to represent using graph. Okay. So check out the graph and put it down. Okay. Poverty 11.8%. Multidimensional poverty index, according to this we have 11.8%. Okay. Unemployment rate 83% youth are unemployed, rising among educated, that is more among educated people than uneducated. Health and nutrition, if you see 35.5% children are stunted yet, according to NFHS 5. Okay. So these are the challenges. So poverty, whatever we are trying to alleviate, everything exists. See, when there is existence only, we will try to eliminate, right? So poverty is there, income inequality, unemployment, health and nutrition lack is also there. Then associated issues comes. Those are main issues. Associated rural-urban divide, even in infrastructure, even digital access. Only 36% of rural are digital accessible. Then gender inequality is there. India ranks 108th position out of 193 countries. So we are ranking very low in we are having more gender inequality. Sustainable development, 73% of electricity still on coal dependent, 73%, more than 50%, 73%, near to 100%. So that you will be able to remember. That's why I'm like saying you on an average whether it is above 50 or less than 100, like that. Okay. Agriculture, if you see, again low growth rate is there, disguised unemployment is there, regional disparities, lack of skill, gender inequality. So these are the problems we are facing along with main challenges. So if you see inter and intragenerational equity, intragenerational equity addresses disparities in access. In access you are having disparities, then okay, that is called as intragenerational equity. Direct benefit transfer, right to education, etc. acts are there for it. Intergenerational equity, sustainable practices. See, in the same generation, if you are talking, it is intra. So we are going for DBT and RTA acts. Okay. Whereas intergenerational sustainable practices should be there. For that we have National Solar Mission, Paris Agreement commitments, NAPCC 8 missions, all those things we are following for intergenerational equity. So key terms that we should be memorizing for exam are like inclusive growth, equitable distribution, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka prayas, sabka vishwas, sabka prayas, financial inclusion, multidimensional poverty index, and skill India, Manrega, sustainable development, Gini coefficient, gender inclusion, intra-generational equity, renewable energy goals, rural-urban divide, fiscal prudence, and SDI, Human Development Index, and GII. Now one such inequality, that is income inequality we'll study in depth. Okay. Income inequality. We'll see different dimensions of income inequality. Again, for every topic it is good, at least in the subject of economics, you either remember data point or trends. For that you should go for graph. Okay. Graph. So trends or data or the main scheme name, like I already said, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, sabka prayas, such kind of quote for introduction. You need to remember everything together. For example, now I am talking about inclusive growth. I might be remembering only this one, sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas, sabka prayas. You might remember, so if you see labor, like recently NS was released, like that is a periodic labor force survey. So under that you can write your some data according to that. So inclusive growth is happening, but still more we have to boost for it. This kind of introduction you can give. So either that or this. Okay. Even with the trends or a graph you can wind up your introduction. You no need to understand like at least understanding is fine, but no need to rote learn everything. Practice the same thing where you will be not using multiple times. So use multiple times even if you learnt one or two single data points. Okay. So for income inequality we will study now. Key statistics, if you see, Oxford report 2023 says top 10% of Indian population hold 77% of national wealth. This is one of the fact we can remember. So if you see top 10%, so top 10% of people hold 77% of income, whereas this is only 10%. Whereas remaining 90% people hold only around 15%, right? Yeah, so that is what you can remember as a key point, where you can be using multiple ways in different ways. Okay, inclusive growth also you can use, income inequality also you can use. Okay, so whenever you talk about inequality, you can use the 10% of Indian population holds 77% of national wealth. According to what? According to Oxfam report 2023. You should not say your opinion. You should say according to which institute, etc. Okay, data also. According to what report you are talking, the data, which organization has released the data. These kind of extension you must give, otherwise your data is not much valid. Okay. So 10% of Indian population holds 77% of the national income according to Oxfam report 2023. Okay. So in 2017, 73% of wealth generated went to the richest 1%. So it in 2017, 73% went to 1% of richest people, whereas poorest half saw only 1% increase in their wealth. So this also you can include, but 1 point is sufficient because you can't memorize everything. If you are capable of memorizing, good enough. Otherwise, at least remember one. Reading everything and not revising anything is not good, is what is my intention. Okay, then we'll go for factors contributing to inequality. Say, what are the factors that will contribute to inequality? Any factor which is not having equality is inequality factor, right? It might be social, agriculture, employment, governance and discrimination, regional disparities, climate change, anything. See, wherever you can't see the equal distribution of pain or gain, that is inequality. One such is social exclusion. Here we see systematic marginalization of a groups. See, this is one of the problem in India we are facing. That is, there is a marginalization of certain groups like SC, ST, women, religious minorities. That is where we can able to see more inequality. So female labor force participation rate, we already seen 37% according to 2022-23 periodic labor survey. Or recent we have seen it is around 40%. See, this is old data. Now in the above table I have mentioned the recent data according to 23 data, right? 23-24. What is it? 40.1% are female employees according to labor force participation rate, right? So the survey conducted by NSO, isn't it? So that data you can mention, it is 40% approximately. So social exclusion is one of the thing. 92% of transgender individuals face economic exclusion, NHRC. You have to check the recent data and validate once again. But if you can't memorize everything, see, I reuse the same data whichever we read in inequality. That you can use here again. Next, over dependence on agriculture. We have seen only agriculture contributes only 50% to GDP, but employs 45.76% of workforce, indicating disguised unemployment. Now, one assignment for you. We already covered agriculture. In that again we completed how much agriculture is contributing to GDP and what is the percentage of employment according to which report. According to which report is also we studied. Okay, that is what you note now. Now I can easily say to you, but because we already covered in other chapter, you have to go back, revise and come back and comment below. Okay, so according to which report we are saying this. Okay, with that one data will be repeated now. See, jobless growth. Despite an average 7% GDP growth over the year or last decade, employment growth is below 1%. So according to CMIE. So now you can note this. So income, what is that? GDP, we talk it about elasticity, right? So that is not much improved. We have to improve it. So that is the thing, okay? Then if you see governance issues, corruption and inefficiency, misappropriate resources meant for the poor. So India ranks 93 out of 180 in 2023 corruption perceptions index. Now you can have one more index added to your data list, that is corruption perceptions index. According to that, 93 is the rank of India out of 180 countries. Okay, for what it is? It is for corruption perception index. Okay, India is ranking 93 out of 180. That is, we are in poor condition. We have to have more probity in governance. Okay. Social norms and discrimination, persistent discrimination against women, limited educational and employment opportunities noted. So you can use the repeated data here. Next, regional disparity. You can use this data, or we already seen one data point. What is that? For regional disparity, we saw digital divide. Only how many percent of people use mobiles or digital access they have in rural region. This data we already seen. Again, comment below. Economic activity is concentrated in states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, while Bihar and Uttar Pradesh lag. You can use this also, or data point also, up to you. Okay. So climate change disproportionately affects marginalized communities, leading to climate induced displacements. So this we can say directly from here, or we are going to have COP29 in the month of November, right? Again, we'll be getting some data point from there. You can add. Why I am saying this kind of information is because this is for the perspective of means. When it comes to means, data points or recent incidents are very, very, very important. Okay. Okay, if you see human resources challenges, what are human resources challenge? We have people, right? Population is there, demographics are there, but what are the problems or challenges that we are not able to convert them into human capital? First thing is skill mismatch. For that, are we having any initiative? We have Skill India, right? So write that. We have many other also, but one such is Skill India. You no need to remember everything, as and I'm repeating every time. It is how much, it is not how much you know, it is how much you represent, right? So unemployment, lack of vocational training and skill, you can remember. Skill mismatch, lack of training and unemployment. Labor market rigidity is there. Most of them are informal sectors, and economic barriers are there. Entrepreneurial support is not there. So for that we have Startup India, Stand Up India and all, right, to encourage. So next we have measures for inclusive growth. So what are all the measures we have taken? Now you can take some of the data points from here also, where you can put on into the exam paper. Okay, historical, if you see, already we have read in agriculture about land reforms, PDS, 5-year plans, nationalization of banks and green revolution in historical point of view. Recently, if you see, for women empowerment, what did we do? Establishment of NCW, and also recently I explained one of the initiative by Telangana government for women empowerment in the current affairs. I want you to note that again. Reservation policies for SC, ST and OBCs in educational and government jobs. Manrega scheme, already I have seen or given. It is started in 2005 for 100 days work, waged employment for rural areas. Right to Education Act, Jan Dhan Yojana for financial inclusion, Make in India for manufacturing, Self-Reliant India is what the term we say, or Atmanirbhar Bharat, and then Digital India for breaking the digital divide. These are some of the initiative. If you see in specific to sectors, you can aramse say 1 or 2 points for everything. Agriculture, PM Kisan, already we discussed. PM Kisan, income support to land holding farmers. PM Fasal Bima Yojana, crop insurance. Agricultural mechanization, where we are giving out financial assistance for modern farming. In case of healthcare, we know Ayushman Bharat or PM Jai. National Health Mission is there. Telecommunication initiatives. Education, National Education Policy 2020, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyana, and Swayam. Swayam is for free online courses across subjects. So this is one of the good thing you can remember. So for Skill India, we have Skill India Mission, skilling 400 million people, and then PM KVY, Kushal Yojana. Then we have Kausal Vikas Yojana, yes. Then financial inclusion, I already said about Mudra Yojana and BharatNet. BharatNet connects rural areas with high-speed internet. See, Bharat plus net. Net is kind of term for internet, right? So BharatNet for connecting high-speed internet in the rural areas. So for financial inclusion, what are the status of financial inclusion? We'll see. Key metrics, if you see, account ownership, 51 crore accounts opened under Jan Dhan Yojana. Total deposit at rupees 2,08,855 crores. So digital transaction, UPI transaction increased from 92 crore in financial year 17-18 to 8,371 crore in financial year 2022-23. So you can remember one thing at least, that is around 51 crore accounts has been opened. 51 crore accounts has been opened under PM Jan Dhan Yojana. Okay. For financial inclusion, what are the challenges? Financial literacy. We don't have the awareness. You can say directly awareness, but the more good term is literacy, financial literacy. Rural penetration is less. Gender gap is there. Quality of services. The points will be repeating. You can just have a subheading, note it down. Okay. Apart from that, nothing much. If anything, I will be letting you know. Okay, to note. So significance of financial inclusion. Why we need? Because for poverty reduction, entrepreneurship, women empowerment, economic output, digital advancement. So whatever our problem, to achieve that we need it. That's all. Then we see analysis of PM Jan Dhan Yojana as tool of financial inclusion. In depth I will say 1 or 2 points, but already we have completed. So account opening around 50 crore and deposit 1.7 lakh crore. At least you remember 50 crores are opened. Okay. Access to bank, millions of previously unbanked individuals, especially in rural areas, now having banking account. So we have a DBT, direct benefit transfer, that is reducing the leakages. Okay. So then we have financial literacy also, awareness programs has been initiated. Then insurance and pension scheme also include that insurance benefit. If you see Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, you can remember these insurance schemes. Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, which provides accidental on life insurance. Okay, 2 yojanas we'll remember. One is Suraksha Bima Yojana, Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. So see, it's Pradhan Mantri is same. So then we have Bima Yojana that is for insurance. That is Suraksha one, Jeevan Jyoti one more. So Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana for insurance. And even we have Atal Pension Yojana, and there is a news on new scheme of pension, new pension scheme. So we have to have a look into it. Okay. So apart from that, if you see the challenges for Jan Dhan Yojana, it is there are many dormant accounts which are not active. So that is one of the problem. Limited access to credit, high risk perception, and operational challenges are there because infrastructure issues are there yet. Then financial literacy, still gaps are there. See, we are improving. That doesn't mean we completed, right? So still there are gaps. Exclusion of ultra poor. Yeah, poor are coming, but what about ultra poor? Then also we have cyber crimes, etc. You can also add some extra points which are valid according to the whatever topic we are discussing. Okay. So inclusive growth through CSR provisions. We are also doing through CSR provisions. Now we spoke income inequality. How are we controlling? According to that, we have what we have. We have read Jandan Yojana, and we are now reading about CSR. So first you should know what is CSR. Corporate Social Responsibility refer to responsibility of businesses to contribute positively to social, economic and environmental development of a society. Okay, it is a way for companies to give back to society beyond their profit making activities, giving back to the society. Okay, corporate social responsibility. Why it is important? Because it should be ethical responsibility. Reputation of management also grows. Sustainable development also will happen. So legal framework for CSR in India, if you see, Section 135 of Companies Act, CSR is governed under which act? This is important even for prelims. Under which act? Under Section 135 of Companies Act. Even if you can't remember section, at least remember Companies Act. Okay. Then we have applicability. So CSR is applicable to the companies that meet these criteria. One is net worth. If you see net worth, it should be more than 500 crores. 500 or more than 500. So net worth. If you see turnover, turnover is 1000 crores. Net profit, if you directly see the profit, it should be more than 5 crores. Profit 5 crores. Turnover 1000 crores. Net worth 500 crores. Under this category, if any company falls, they are under CSR. Okay. CSR committees. Eligible companies must form CSR committee of the board. The committee is responsible for formulating CSR policy and activities monitoring. Okay. Expenditure, if you see, company must spend at least 2%. It is not at most. It is at least 2% of their average net profit. Okay. Calculated over last 3 years financial years. Okay. So CSR activities must align with the items listed under Schedule 7 of Companies Act. You can't take random activities. You must take according to Schedule 7. Okay. So what are all mentioned under Schedule 7 of Companies Act? Eradicating hunger and poverty, promoting education, gender inequality and women empowerment, health and sanitation, environmental sustainability, rural development project and promoting sports. These are under Section 7, Schedule 7 of Companies Act. So turnover should be 1000 crores, net profit 5 crores, and one more criteria is net worth is 500 crores. So just remember certain key terms only as I am mentioning now. So amendment and development in CSR, if you see, in 2019 the Companies Act mandated stricter rules. Companies must now carry forward unspent CSR fund into the next financial year. If you not spend, this will be carry forwarded for the next year. If the funds remain unspent for 3 years, if it is not spent for 3 years, then it must be transferred to the government specified fund. Apart from that, there will be penalties as well as fines, even might be imprisonment for based on different cases. Okay, penalties is also there. Okay, fine. So some of the examples which are engaged, the companies engaged in CSR activities are Tata, Infosys, Reliance, etc. There are many other companies as well. Challenges, if you see, lack of awareness, insufficient monitoring, uneven distribution. Way forward, private-public partnership, one of the key term, which is a good way forward for any of the problem. We can use this. Public-private partnership, better monitoring, rural focus. Okay, that's all about CSR. So this will try to address social inequality, like Tata Chemicals Okai Initiative, Reliance Foundation Nutrition Project, etc. Promoting education and skill development, empowering women, then environmental sustainability, rural development, all these things they're focusing on. Now we'll see impact of capitalism and neoliberal for policies on inclusive growth. See, now we understood what are contributing for inclusive growth. One such is financial inclusion, that is PM Jan Dhan Yojana. Second, when we studied in detail about CSR activity, now we will see how this inclusive growth got affected by capitalism and neoliberal policies. Okay. So positive impacts, if you see for anything there will be both positive and negative impacts. First we'll see the positive impact. One is economic growth happened because of capitalism. That is projected growth is 7.6%. This you can note. FDI improved. Job creation increased. Infrastructure development happened. Health and education improved. Also negative, if you see, income inequality also improved. That is richest 1% holded 40.1% of national wealth, or 10% holded 77% of the national wealth. Labor market issues were there. Environmental concerns where over exploitation happened. So if you see what are the way forward, enhance educational access and quality, increase social welfare funding. This is very good term to be used. Social welfare funding. Expanding e-governance, that is minimum government, more governance. That scheme you can use. Digital services. Rural urban divide has to be reduced, and reform key sectors as well, like labor laws, agriculture, land acquisition, etc., and support innovation and research. This is one of the key term where you can use anywhere. Innovation and research is needed everywhere. Promote employment generation, strengthen social protection programs, drive financial inclusion, women empowerment, modernize agriculture, inclusive governance. What we have learned for governance we have seen. One is trust, one more about participatory decision making, right? Yeah. Private sector engagement, we can also say like PPP, or we can say CSR activities for private sector engagement. So again, sabka saath sabka vikas for inclusive growth. Okay, international best practices for inclusive growth. If you see, Singapore, we have Skill Future Initiative, support continuous learning. That is Skill Future Initiative. You don't need to remember everything, but at least one country you can remember. For now we'll see Singapore Skill Future Initiative. You can see other, whichever you like you can remember. See, for mains I am saying, to explain it is different, but in particular to mains, what you should write, what not you should write, for that I am choosing and saying. If you want in-depth videos, you just comment below. I will take separate sessions for those as well. So case studies, if you see, in India for inclusive growth, we have Kudumbashree program in Kerala, very well known for microfinance and social development. Okay. Then Jyoti Gram Yojana, Gujarat. So we know Kudumbashree in Kerala. Similarly, we have Jyoti Gram Yojana in Gujarat, enhancing rural life through improved power supply. Then Mission Kakatiya, Telangana, for irrigation or agricultural productivity. So you can see irrigational tanks. We have studied in agriculture also. Amman canteens in Tamil Nadu for food and food for urban poor. And then Raitu Bandhu scheme in Telangana. So farmer support. These and all you have read in different chapters. The only thing is whether you are making use of it or not. That is the only thing. Yeah. Now we'll see Bharatiya model for inclusive development. So what we are doing is cultural historical roots we are emphasizing. That is emphasizing on indigenous approach to development, focusing on family and community. Goal, aim for sustained, fast, inclusive growth. This is our new term. Sustained, fast plus inclusive growth. Sustained, fast and inclusive growth. Three main pillars of development according to Bharatiya model: balanced interplay, economic philosophy, role of private sector. So balanced interplay should be there between enterprise, that is private enterprise, and government. Okay, there should be a balance between these two. Balanced interplay. Economic philosophy, which seeks balance between socialism and ultra capitalism. So economic philosophy, whether it is socialism or capitalism, we want balanced, right? So we want balanced even in interplay, balanced interplay and balanced or economic philosophy, which encourages even the entrepreneurs. Okay, Then role of private sectors, critical in driving growth and creating jobs, and government creates conducive environment for entrepreneurship. Even PPP is also important, is what we meant to say. Okay, PPP, or you can directly say role of private sector. Then first thing is, my main pillar is Indic market economics. Under this we saw about interplay and balancing, right? One is Indic market economics, second one is Antyodaya and empowerment, third is holistic approach. These three keywords can be used anywhere, so you carefully practice these three as the pillars of Bharatiya model of inclusive development. One is Indic market economics, under that balanced interplay, economic philosophy, private sector role. Then we have Antyodaya and empowerment. Under this, the concept of Antyodaya, that is caring for most disadvantaged and empowering individuals and develop their talents, giving equal opportunities, cultural roots development. Then holistic approach, if you see holistic approach, experience based pragmatism. Then integrated strategy is what we should follow. Holistic is integrated strategy, fine. So in depth, if you see economic or Indic market economics, role of private sectors I already explained, and private social initiatives like NGOs, NPOs, avoiding government businesses. For that only, avoiding government in business. For balancing, what you should be using the term minimum government, maximum governance. Very important phrase, okay? So we are following middle path. I told already, balanced approach, right? Infrastructure impact, we are going for PPP. I mentioned already. For government reforms, public goods, digital public goods and macroeconomic reforms should be there. And poverty indicators reforms should be there. So philosophical underpinning, if you see, that is under Antyodaya and empowerment. Integral humanism, Mahatma Gandhi influence. So that is the impact on poorest of individuals should be emphasized. And broad approach, empowerment for all. For that, if you see the schemes, different schemes, already we repeated again. PMJ. For what? Insurance. And then Ujjwala Yojana for cooking fuel. Swachh Bharat Mission. Sustainability also you can say for public health as well. So similar schemes we should be using. Program evolution, if you see, outcome oriented program is what we have seen, that is agile methodology, isn't it? Yeah. Holistic approach, if you see, philosophical foundation, even spiritual philosophical, green economy initiative, macroeconomic management, investment and productivity trend, trade and industrial policies. So if you see the way forward, digital system development, AI, universal access initiatives, breaking social barriers, education quality, healthcare, MSME improvement, demographic empowerment, all these things are similar. You no need to keep on practicing different terminologies for the same point. Practice some 5 points which are like holistic, integrated approach, sabka saath sabka vikas, minimum government, maximum governance, vocal for local. These kind of terms you can be using than repeatedly practicing unnecessarily a lot of stuff, right? Then we'll see how this financial inclusion and sustainable development interrelate. So importance of financial inclusion, why it is important, we already seen why it is important. Then role in sustainable development, if you see, financial inclusion is crucial for sustainable development as it enables access to formal financial services, enhancing job creation, reducing economic vulnerability and promoting human capital investment. Yes, the similar benefits and progress made in India, if you see, banking expansion, how much? Around 50 crore accounts. See, the same thing we are repeating. Under what? PM Jandan Yojana. They might give any heading. You should know the meaning of that question and the heading and repeat the similar point, because any scheme will not be made solely for one single purpose. It is for holistic development. It is for integrated development, right? So Now shift in India's approach, if we see digital financial inclusion, this also we read. Digital public infrastructure we should still develop. So under that, recently even RBI had introduced certain regulation for UPI 123 pay and UPI Lite. So for UPI 123 pay, the maximum amount is now increased to 10,000 and 1,000 at a time, right? So you check the current affairs again. I have uploaded. So for digital things, RBI and NPCI have UPI 123 pay. It is for feature phones. Okay, for UPI payment. And Project Nexus, collaborating to link India's UPI with Asian countries for cross-border payment. This is one of the important projects we should remember. That is Project Nexus, India's UPI with Asian countries. So components of RBI National Strategy for Financial Inclusion. If you can remember these 7 points, you can use anywhere than remembering every other, because it's a national strategy by RBI. Okay. So target based approach, setting specific goal for measurable outcome. Market development, enhancing growth and accessibility financial market. Infrastructure strengthening, innovation and technology, last mile delivery, reaching everyone, even undeserved people or remote people. It's not undeserved people, it is remote people who are not able to access things. Last mile delivery. Consumer protection. Yes, consumer protection. Before also we have seen financial literacy and awareness. So all these things are there. First thing is awareness. Even you can write here training, awareness, training, skill development. And then R&D, innovation and R&D. Then reaching last mile, target based approach, holistic approach. These things are the key terms. Digital financial inclusion. So again digital we'll see. So such schemes are Digital India Mission, Make in India, Aadhaar eKYC, Aadhaar enabled payment system, UPI, Bharat QR, DigiLocker, eSign, account aggregator, open network for digital commerce. If you can memorize 2 or 3, your work is done. Already we know Aadhaar, Digital India, UPI, Bharat QR, eSign. Everything is very well known. If you are not aware, just read one line for each and then practice these schemes. That's all. Or initiatives. Advantages: ease of transaction, sustainable growth, economic growth, fintech growth. Then we can also read about microfinance. I thought of taking it as a separate session for microfinance. Okay, we'll see in the separate. That will also aid for okay, we'll see it off. So microfinance, even it will help in inclusive development, a small finance, right? So just a small thing I'll explain it off. So provision of financial services to low income clients lacking access to banking service. For them you are providing loans for low income clients. Okay. Services offered: small loans, savings, insurance, remittances aimed at supporting financial management. So micro, see, divide this: microfinance, small finance will be given to the low income clients. Evolution and size of India's microfinance sector, if you see how it got evolved. The sector has grown due to RBI's regulation support and industry codes by self-regulatory organizations like SADHAN and MFIN. So the sector has grown due to RBI regulation support and industry codes. So what are which are that? Self-regulatory organization. Current landscape, if you see, second largest microfinance sector globally after China. Okay, after China we are having second largest microfinance sector. It covers 50% of households, 10% of India's population. Okay, you can memorize those. Advantage: empowerment, rural, post-pandemic growth is there. Financial health of a microfinance institution in India. So even if you can't remember everything, you can rewrite. India is the second largest microfinance sector after China. This is one point you can note. And 50% of household and 10% of media population. This is the second point you can use. Government initiative, if you see. So self-help group, bank linkage programs we have, and financial inclusion index. So those are the things. And even we have like growth strategy for Amrit Kal. 75 years of independence. Later we started with Amrit Kal. So for that we have a strategy. What is that? Strong, sustainable, inclusive growth. SSI. Strong, sustainable, inclusive. Before we have seen fast, inclusive and sustainability. Right. Now for Amrit Kal, this also you can use. As a growth strategy for Amrit Kal, we have strong, sustainable and inclusive growth. So where we are going for bottom up reforms or approaches. Okay. So boosting private sector investment, focus area accelerating private gross fixed capital formation. You should know what is gross fixed capital formation. This I'll explain in the upcoming classes. And for that we have Atmanirbhar packages, production linked incentive scheme, national infrastructure pipeline and national monetization pipeline. So one is Atmanirbhar Bharat, we know that. Production linked PLI schemes, even recently given for textiles, handmade or technology used. And we have national infrastructure pipeline. It plans to invest in infrastructure development, infrastructure pipeline for infrastructure development. National monetization pipeline, strategies to monetize asset to generate revenue, to monetize the asset in order to generate the income or revenue. That is national monetization pipeline also is there. So goal is to achieve sustainable private sector non-residential investment reaching 35% of GDP. So this is all about that. So remaining part we will cover in next video, where some of the points will be learning for prelims based on poverty and unemployment. So this is all for today.